Well, good morning and welcome to lesson 7 of A Course in Miracles. Today I'm using the white edition again, and a few people have been asking me where can I get the white edition. Just Google it, A Course in Miracles white edition, and it'll pop up. You'll find it on Amazon, BookPod, a few different places like that. So lesson 7 is our first lesson that deals with an idea of time. Right, so the idea of time and space. So there's 2 precepts for the whole of the course, for the whole thing. First one is that time is not sequential, everything's happening here and now. And the second one is that there's nothing outside of my own mind, everything's happening here and now. So lesson 7 is the first time idea that sort of introduces the mind to the idea of the here and the now. And not in as many words, but just in seeing that, in allowing you to see that how preoccupied, and there is another lesson, I think it's, where are we? Yep, lesson 8, my mind is preoccupied with the past. So in lesson 7 is the first glimpse at the idea of how wayward the mind can be. You know, how often we just go through a whole day and not enjoy the moment that I'm alive, I'm experiencing myself in relationship to all these things as myself. You know, here and now is the only moment you can truly be alive, truly be happy, truly feel love. You know, it's not happening yesterday. So, all right, well, let's get into it. Lesson 7, I see only the past. This idea is particularly difficult to believe at first, yet it is the rationale for all of the preceding ones. It is the reason why nothing that you see means anything. It is the reason why you have given everything you see all the meaning it has for you. It is the reason why you do not understand anything you see. It is the reason why your thoughts do not mean anything and why they are like the things you see. It is the reason why you are never upset for the reason you think. It is the reason why you're upset because you see something that is not there. Old ideas about time are very difficult to change because everything you believe is rooted in time and depends on your not learning these new ideas about it. Right? You maintain your beliefs by not learning these new ideas about it, even though they're common knowledge, completely obvious. Yet that is precisely why you need new ideas about time. This first time idea is not really so strange as it may sound at first. Look at a cup, for example. Do you see a cup, or are you merely reviewing your past experiences of picking up a cup, being thirsty, drinking from a cup, filling the rim of a cup against your lips, having breakfast, and so on? Are not your aesthetic reactions to the cup too based on past experiences? How else would you know whether or not this kind of cup will break if you drop it? What do you know about this cup except what you learned in the past? You would have no idea what this cup is except for your past learning. Do you then really see it? Look about you. This is equally true of whatever you look at. Acknowledge this by applying the idea for today indiscriminately to whatever catches your eye. For example, I see only the past in this pencil. I see only the past in this shoe. I see only the past in this hand. I see only the past in that body. I see only the past in that face. Do not linger over any one thing in particular, but remember to omit nothing specifically. Glance briefly at each subject and then move on to the next. So very similar in application to lesson 1, where you just glance around and, that does not mean anything, this does not mean anything. Except this time you're going to use, I see only the past in the same sort of familiar things. But 3 times a day, as the lessons state earlier, unless you find it difficult or stressful or anything like that, and just for a minute or two. So I see only the past in that towel. I see only the past in that massage table. I see only the past in that wrinkle machine. I see only the past in that mirror. I see only the past in that hat, etc. for about a minute, just with common things. And little by little, these lessons sort of work together to bring a new perception, a new perspective of everything in the world, to allow you to function from the here and the now, wherein you begin to see that what's outside yourself is nothing, and what's within you is the truth. Right? And there's a lovely line in here, very short line in the course, that says, truth is true and nothing else matters. So we come to this world on the journey of the soul, and we start to give everything a meaning. Oh, this is mine, that's yours. And I'm rich, you're poor, you're sick, I'm healthy, all these things. And we divide and separate, and that's what we do all of our lives, 24/7, right? And finally to have something like this come along that says, hang on a minute, who told you to do that? Who told you to teach each other to do that? And I remember, I think it was Sesame Street, they have this little jingle, one of these things is not like the other. So no, they're all the same. They're all meaningless, pointless, and nothing. It's like when you go to when you go to a foreign land or something, let's say you go to Thailand, and you can't speak the language, you don't know the customs, the rituals, nothing. You don't go there and watch their rituals and their street parades and their everything, and suddenly decide that you'll make up a meaning for it yourself. Even though you don't understand what's going on, and it's kind of funny, but we do that here because we say, well, this is our country, and we'll call this a hat, and we'll call this a thing, and we'll do that, and we'll do that, and we'll have these parades that mean this, and rituals and traditions that mean all these things, and we define ourselves by them. And the external world is a constant attraction for doing that. So it's really wonderful, I find, when you have A Course in Miracles comes along and says, you don't have to do that. If you want to be happy and have inner peace and all that sort of stuff, simply do this. The Course doesn't speak against the world or anything. It just gives you an alternative for a different goal, a different perception. So, all right, well, that was lesson 7. Tomorrow, lesson 8, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Now, that was one of my really chunky good ones, I remember. So, keen to do that one again. One of the things, too, that somebody wrote to me and said, I did lesson 6 and I started to feel nauseous, when I did lesson 6. And so I just try to breathe through it, right? Some of the things that happen when you do this book, this is a metaphysical text, right? Metaphysical workbook. Some of the things that can happen is it will bring up emotional states which are coming up for healing, right? That want to be released. And so feeling nauseous or feeling agitated or anything like that, perfect, excellent, wicked. It's just transformation. Let it happen. Don't try to adjust. Don't take an aspirin unless you think you really need to. Just have faith and just go through it. Just breathe. Don't adjust. If the phone rings, don't answer it. Because the whole object of the exercise here is spiritual healing. And when you feel anything that's not peaceful, not perfectly content within yourself happening, that you ascribe the meaning of being not content and everything, it's an opportunity to apply the principles of be still and know that I am God, right? And you'll quite often find that just the smallest little aggravation when you're doing these lessons or even throughout the day with anything can be just the tip of an iceberg. And from the overall perspective, it is the tip of an iceberg. Right? We tend to live very superficially and very on the surface of our human experience and don't really let ourselves get down into the depths because we're afraid of the power of our mind in its fullness. We like to live within a little bandwidth of experience, and if we go too far one way, we become manic depressives, and if we go too far the other way, we're whatever the opposite of that is, like probably a manic excited or something. So let it happen. All right, just try to be still, connect with the Holy Spirit, connect with your higher self, breathe, and it'll pass. All right, it's just energy. Try to think of it as energy, or it's just the light doing the job. All right, well, that's about it. It's all perfect. Remember that everything's always perfect. You're in a transition, so don't try to decide that you know what's going on. It's one of the greatest things that I found was difficult, was to think that I knew what was what. When I was doing the work, I understand that lesson. That's perfectly clear. My mind's preoccupied with the past, blah, 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 blah. Yep, got it. It's like the cup. That's a pretty good example. Do I know what the cup is? How do I know what the cup is? Except for my past experiences. What if I drop it? Will it break? I don't know. A little child doesn't know. A little child will pick up a ceramic cup, wouldn't know what it is, and then drop it for the first time. Oh! But when you're accustomed to these things, you just take it for granted. So what you're really seeing is your own impressions of the past. You're using your past references to guide you in this moment. Right? Therefore, the mind is completely busy accessing these past references and using the past to justify what it thinks is happening for it now. And I know the past is just the cup is just a very basic, simple example, but we do that in relationships with people and things. We take our past experiences and ideas with us into this brand new moment and greet this relationship that I'm having with this new person that I haven't met before or whatever, with all that loaded experience from the past, rather than greeting them as brand new, with no judgment, no anything. And very difficult to suspend judgment. That's why you need those lessons. So, all right, I love you, and have a great day. And we'll do lesson 8 tomorrow.